How's the bacon, did you say?
Oh, what a fantastic hit!
Roy Keane on Haaland.
Here's Sancho.
Aguero! I swear you'll never see anything like this ever again.
Sure, it's a grand old team to play for. Sure, it's a grand old team, be damned. When you read its history, it's enough to make your heart grow sad. God bless them, we don't care if we win, lose or draw. Darn the hair we care, because we only know that there's going to be a show, and the Glasgow Celtic will be there.
Hello and welcome to the Prawn Sandwich Podcast. I am Nathan Cupid, and as per usual, joined by Jamie Jackson and Dylan McKenzie.
Hello.
And this week's episode, we are joined by Celtic fan and football coach Scott Hardie. Welcome to the Sandwich Son.
Thanks very much. Good to see you, lads.
Yeah,
thanks for coming on, mate.
Welcome. Got a friend of Jamie, so thank Jamie for coming up.
Thanks, Jamie, for scraping the barrel.
Not at all, man. Nah, it's good starting to broaden our horizons with different clubs now. So, maybe a bit bad time to talk about Celtic, but we'll move on to that. We'll talk a bit first about yourself, coaching, how you got into it and what you do at the minute.
Yeah, I was kind of like, I think I'm like similar to a couple of you lads. I played a bit of amateur football. I wasn't overly great, but I played a bit of amateur football, and I started a team in Annan called Annan Town, and I think they're still going now. And from there, I kind of just thought I maybe would get into a bit of football coaching. So I went back to college as a student when I was 31, and from there I kind of studied a couple of years and did a course which was HNC sports coaching, HND sports coaching, and got a bit of experience doing like coaching in schools and clubs and communities. And they also gave us like a college coordinator position to run the college football program. So I started to realise I wasn't overly bad at it, like I was all right at it. So I ended up going to some semi-professional teams just in the South of Scotland League, and that's how I kind of got into coaching. And then I find myself in a kind of a teaching job as a lecturer up at the college as well. So I kind of teach a lot of sports coaching units up there. So it's been enjoyable, and that's kind of where I'm at the moment.
Nice.
That's fun.
So is that like adult coaching, or is it younger teams at the minute, or do you want to go into adult coaching? Or
I'm in adult coaching. When I was at the college, where they sent us out to do kind of stuff that was aligned with the college, it was in schools. It was younger kids a lot of the time. But as I kind of went through the 2 years at the college, I just started to get asked to go and coach some football teams, and I've coached 2 or 3 just now. But they're predominantly all adult teams that I coach, because you want to be around adult football and you want to turn up on the Saturday and get involved with competitive games and being amongst it. It's not obviously it's just a semi-professional level at best, but still enjoyable.
Yeah,
totally agree with that. Yeah.
How far do you want to go with it? Do you want to manage Celtic one day, or do you just want to be a coach?
Just on Football Manager, mate. No, it's honestly, like, I know I had kind of aspirations to get as far as I could with it, and I still want to get quite far with it. But I've got into a position now where I've ended up in a good well paid job, or as you know, I've got things now I never had. Like, you know, I can afford full shopping. You know what I mean? I can go to Tesco's every now and then. I used to, you know what I mean? I used to, like, I can actually get a few things in there now. But like, I was, you know, when you're a student, as you some of you probably know, it's just difficult. You know, I'm in a position now where I'm enjoying the job, and I've maybe stumbled into it, and I'm enjoying it. And I'd like to get into coaching and go quite far at some point, but I'll see when that'll be. At the moment, I'm taking a wee break from it, to be honest.
All right, okay. I was going to say, what's happening with the COVID and stuff at that level? Are you still in and around it, or is it stopped?
Obviously, it stopped like everywhere else. It kind of stopped. It's kind of shut down. But I was taking a little bit of a break away from it anyway. I was kind of just wanting a little bit of time to myself. I wanted just to focus on the job a little bit. But because where I live as well, I live in Annan and in Dumfries and Galloway, like just near to you guys, and there's not a lot of good coaching opportunities. Like, see, if you want to go far in coaching, you have to move to the central belt. You have to like be prepared to go and move somewhere and see when you get a job and you kind of get settled. That kind of changes that a bit. I'd still like to see if I could maybe push my way into it at some point. But as I just said, you've got to be prepared to move. You've got to be prepared to leave where you live, and you've got to be prepared to maybe cut down the job that you're doing. And that's a big thing to give up just now. But I think I'll probably will do that at some point. But the timing of that is probably not just now.
Yeah.
Well, if you like Sunday League football, the Apple Tree FC could always do with a few tips.
I've heard of that team before. I think I played
the game for us once. How you doing?
I don't think it was under my name, but I played.
We're doing all right now. Me and Nath are still involved. Well, I manage it. Nath's
nice. Yeah, cool.
central midfield general.
Is Jamie, you not playing anymore, Jamie? I take it you've just stopped.
No. I haven't played football for quite a while now. Just predominantly BJJ, nothing else.
Good man. You'll maybe get back to it at some point.
Yeah.
Right. So with that, we'll move on to Celtic, mate. So like most guests, your first memory of supporting Celtic?
It's probably 1988, 89. The first memory was when we won the Scottish Cup and the league double in our centenary year. It was a 100-year anniversary in 1988. I always remember watching that final in the living room. My dad was watching it. We won 2-1. We beat Dundee United. I remember Kevin Gallagher. Remember he played in Blackburn Rovers and he was in England for a spell. He scored that game for Dundee United, and Celtic ended up going on to win 2-1. And then the year after, we played Rangers and beat them in the final 1-0 in the Scottish Cup final. Joe Miller, and that was like the two Scottish Cup games I can remember as my first memory as a Celtic fan. Yeah,
These memories to kick off with.
Yeah. I've still got the top as well. I've got the 1988 top. Not obviously the one I had when I was young, but like I reordered it, and I've got the 1988 top and I just like to keep it because they're kind of good memories. Like,
Definitely keep your tops.
Oh man.
First match you went to watch?
Celtic v Montrose in 1992, I think it was, and we won 6-0. Jerry Craney and Tommy Coyne got hat-tricks. They both got hat-tricks. Are you allowed to swear on this?
Yeah.
I was just about to say we were shit back in that day. Like 1992, Celtic were scraping the barrel. Like we had Keith Gillespie and kind of ended up signing people like Tony Cascarino and stuff like that at the end of their careers. They were terrible. But anyway, Jerry Craney got 3 and Tommy Coyne got 3. And Celtic Park was a lot different then, obviously, as you can imagine. It's a bit of a shithole. But it's changed now. It looks a lot better now. But that was my first game. Yeah.
Nice. We've had some bad ones, haven't we? Not draws and losses, but 6-0 wins not a bad first game.
Well, it was Montrose in the Scottish Cup. It's like I think they were second division or first. They don't even exist anymore. I don't think, but they were like second or first division at the time. I think so.
What we got next? Favorite ever player?
Do you know? I was thinking about this a lot before I came on, because it's like a really popular question, isn't it? Like I'm going to stick to Paul McStay, because I thought about Henrik Larsson, because like I think people my age in their 30s would come on and say Henrik Larsson because obviously. He is what he is, isn't he? He was God at Celtic. But like Paul McStay, man, when I was growing up, he was Mr. Celtic. He was like the guy that Jamie knows me quite well. So Jamie knows I like black boots. I like the shirt tucked in. I like a professional. I like a professional player and stuff. And see Paul McStay, he was just that type of player. Like he Celtic in his heart, 100%. He stayed his whole career. He didn't move anywhere. He was the captain as well. He stayed with us in the 90s when I said we were pretty shit in the early 90s. He stayed with us and kind of just got the club through it. He probably deserved a lot more than he got in the end, but like he was the guy I had in my wall, and he's the guy I've got in the back of my 1988 top, the Celtic top. Paul McStay is just, and I like the fact that he's humble as well. He's not a guy like he didn't care about the media and all that. He doesn't care about being noticed. He's in Australia now. He lives in Australia. You hardly hear about him, and I kind of like that. He just he's done what he's done, and he loved the club, and he doesn't care about being noticed and stuff. I like players like that.
Is he a forward? Like for people like me, I wouldn't have a clue who he was.
Oh, he was a central midfielder. He was a central midfielder. He was a playmaker. He was always on the ball. He always played with a head up. He was quite a creative player as well. He scored a few good goals, but he always, honestly, see when you tell players as a coach, you always tell players to play with a head up. Like, I wish you could get more videos of Paul McStay, because these days you'd probably tell folk to look at Xavi and Iniesta and all that. Like, I would tell them to look at Paul McStay. They would probably look at me. They would probably look at me like, "No, I'll give that a miss, Scotty." But like he played with a head up, and honestly, if you get a chance, like go and see videos and what he was and stuff, he was unbelievable. Honestly, he was brilliant.
Nice, like that, like a good old favourite player that no one really knows.
Yeah.
So, favourite ever goal? Celtic goal?
Again, that's tough. But John Hartson against Liverpool in the UEFA Cup quarter-final 2003 away at Anfield. It was, I sunk to my knees, man. I still watch it now, and I'm like, honestly, I still watch it now, and because I remember the first leg. I don't know if you probably won't remember it, but we played them in the quarter-final of the UEFA Cup in 2003, and the first leg was at Anfield, and it was 1-1, and Liverpool played quite well. Like, they were pretty decent. Probably the second half, they might have thought they could have probably won it. Heskey, Michael Owen, Steven Gerrard, Dietmar Hamann, players like that. They're a good, decent team. Celtic went to Anfield in the second leg, and nobody thought they were going to win it, and they didn't just win it. Like, they dominated. They won 2-0. They had a real good team at the time, and honestly, when that second goal went in from John Hartson, there was Celtic fans all around Anfield just jumping up in all the parts of Anfield's different stands and stuff. And it was, honestly, I remember sinking to my knees, just thinking, as a Scottish team, you've went to Anfield, one of the biggest places you can go in England, and yeah, you've won, and you've not only won, you've won and you've deserved it, like, and you've dominated it. That's the goal that I would always say.
He was massively underrated as a footballer, John Hartson.
It's probably because of his size, I think, and his fitness, wasn't it? But he was a great finisher. Like, he nearly signed for Rangers before we got him, but they turned him down because he had a problem with his knee.
I remember hearing that. Yeah.
Right, so we'll stop the joy and all the good feelings. And worst moment as a fan?
Did I say this season? Nah.
You can if you want, because it's pretty bad.
In all seriousness, I wouldn't say this season, because like, we've had 9 years of success, and it was always going to end. It's been awful this year, but I think there's a few reasons for it. But it's still been brutal. But the worst time was probably the best time as well, because we got to that final we got to in 2003. We played Porto, and we got beat off Jose Mourinho's Porto. They went on and won the Champions League the year after. They were a real good team.
Yeah.
And they beat us 3-2 after extra time in the final. That hurt. I've got the DVD, which is about getting to the road to Seville. It's called. That was the year they got to the final, and I watch it all the way up to the final. I can't watch the final. I actually can't watch it. But that was tough to take. Like, they cheated as well. They cheated a wee bit as well.
They did. I remember watching that game. I was like 14, and that was peak Mourinho playing for himself. The disconnected time for Porto, like all the time.
It's disgusting. The goalkeeper Vitor Bayer just like diving and trying to get more time on the deck so that his team got, just stopped the momentum of Celtic's attacks and stuff. And just the referee bought it as well. He was really young. Can't remember his name, but he was a really young ref, and he just bought everything. And I'm not bitter about it. Fuck this. It's hard. I don't like talking about it.
Right, we'll move on then. Best moment as a fan.
Getting there probably. Getting there that year was probably one of the best moments. That was unbelievable. Getting to the final of the UEFA Cup. People would probably say like winning 9 in a row this year, but that's, I don't know, like for some reason that's just not as important to me as like the European games, and because that's when you know that you're playing against the best there, like the kind of good level opposition.
I think 9 in a row would have been more not meaningful, but like if Rangers didn't happen to Rangers and you won 9 while they were still good.
Yeah, I know
you
what
won
you
9
mean,
with like Aberdeen finishing second. It's not.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's not our fault that they obviously got liquidated, but like at the same time, you're right, because there wasn't any competition really. Like we were going to win the league when they were out of it, and as I say, it doesn't really. It'll stand in the history books as a good achievement again, and it should be, because you've got to win. You've got to win what you've got to win, but it isn't anywhere near like the 1967 team and even Rangers when they won 9 in a row the first time in the 90s and 80s and the 90s and stuff. That was a better achievement, really.
Yeah, fair enough. So we've gone through those questions fast, but a bit more detail on this one. What you think about the club's current situation? So squad, manager. Well, who should be the next manager? Rangers, etc.
It's been a horrible year. Do you know what? We've still got. I still think that I know it's going to sound daft, but I still think on paper Celtic have got the better individuals in the squad. Like they've got a better setup than Rangers. They've got a better financial structure than Rangers. We're in a better condition than Rangers, but that doesn't mean anything if you can't get the players to play in the pitch. And this year, I think they've just all turned up. And like Neil Lennon turned up after lockdown, and he didn't look. I thought he looked a bit. I don't think he looked himself. He put on a bit of weight. He just looked like he was lacking a little bit of what he usually has. He's got quite a bit of fire and a wee bit of fight about him, and I thought he was lacking a little bit of that. So I don't know what's happened over the lockdown period. I think the players have came back, and some of them wanted to leave. They never got their opportunity to leave, so they've ended up staying. And I wouldn't say they've done tools, but they've maybe just played within them. Well, in fact, I'm talking nonsense. They have done tools a bit because they've not been playing the full potential. So I think. It's been a difficult year. Like the Rangers have been phenomenal with their form, to be fair. Like, I mean, look at their form. They've not lost a game. The European form's brilliant. But they've not been tested. If you're a good team, you need tested. You need that time in the season where you get beat of Celtic or your biggest rivals. Just remind you that you're in there and you're right behind them within 2 or 3 points. That never happened to Celtic. They were always like 3 games behind Rangers and like 9 points or 10 points behind. And Rangers were kind of cruising. And they've just kept cruising, but Celtic they've blown it on every level. Like even all the stuff that they did, you probably heard it in the news. They went to Dubai in January when everybody else was at home and struggling and on lockdown, and they ended up going to Dubai. Came back, they had 11 to 12 players out. I think in the next 2 games we dropped points in those 2 games, and we've threw it. The Rangers deserve it, but we've threw it away.
I think your next managerial appointment's massive.
Yeah.
Because Lennon, I thought at the time, was a bit of like a lazy appointment, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's like, especially after the progress Brendan Rodgers has made, there needs to be a bit more bold in the appointment there.
Is there anyone you want to be manager?
I think I think Jamie's right with it. Brendan Rodgers came with a philosophy and stuff, and he changed the structure and the setup, and he had like a certain way he wanted to play. Like Lennon, I'm not going to like. I wouldn't like. You wouldn't know what goes in the training pitch. I'm not saying that Lennon doesn't do a great job. I can imagine the players love Neil Lennon. Like honestly, I can, but I just don't think he's the kind of guy that is as tactically astute. He doesn't make good decisions during games with his changes. He tweaks the formations a lot. This year it's happened all the time. I think that's maybe because the players have maybe wanted to move, or the players have been unhappy, or the players have just not had the right attitude. So he's probably had to tweak it more. or do things he would maybe normally not have to do. So there's probably reasons that we don't know about as well. But I totally agree with Jamie that it was lazy. They should have been looking to get somebody who was kind of in the same level or just similar to Brendan Rodgers type of appointment. But Lennon was cheaper as well, so sounds a bit like Celtic at the moment. As far as a new manager would go, I do like Eddie Hull. Every time he speaks, I think he knows a lot about the game. I would like Eddie Hull to come up, but I think maybe he wants to stay in England preferably. But also, there's another two. Is it Maresca that works at Man City? He's currently the elite level coach there below Guardiola. He's responsible for doing all the development teams and doing all the philosophy for those teams. And I think he sounds like somebody that could be good as well.
The favourite's John Kennedy in the betting.
There's no way he's getting it.
Then it's Roy Keane. I don't think that'll happen.
You know what? I would. Was my third choice. I would take him. As a third. And I know some Celtic fans don't want that, but honestly, man, it would be great just to watch his interviews every Friday. Just to.
And then
that would be my favourite time as a Sunderland supporter, Keane and.
And then I would take him. Then you've got the two you mentioned at 6-1 each. You got Eddie Howe and Maresca, and then after them are the two unemployed boys, McInnes, who's just left Aberdeen, and Paul Lambert. But you do not want them, surely. I
don't know who makes those betting odds, because McInnes is an ex-Rangers player as well, and that's never happened in the history of Celtic. An ex-Rangers player like that has ever came in and managed the team, and Paul Lambert's he's got more chance of getting Annan Town than Celtic. He's lost. So he's been sacked or he's left so many jobs now, hasn't he?
I think it's just that player tag, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think the club needs. It's upstairs as well in the boardroom as well, isn't there? There's a lot going on upstairs as well. The whole club needs a restructure.
So you two guys are Sunderland as well. So what did you think of Keane when he was there, Jamie? You liked him, yeah?
I loved him. Absolutely. He lost the plot towards the end, but yeah.
I loved him, but I loved him because of my age. He was the manager when I got my first season ticket.
Yeah.
So everyone in Sunderland's like Peter Reid. I didn't go to them games. I was too young. Yeah. So when I first started going, it was Roy Keane. That's why I absolutely adore him. I just don't think could do it in a Premier League transfer window. He still went for in our second season, he kept us up, but then we still went for championship level based players.
Yeah.
The high profile names we did get, I think maybe his championship tactics couldn't work with them because I think the championship players not feared him, but were like, wow, that's Roy Keane, we'll do what he says.
Yeah.
Whereas when we got people on 40 grand a week, they were a bit more. So I would worry if it was that at Celtic as well. I would worry if the bigger players, like Edward and that, would they be like? I'm not taking that shit.
I like that.
Could.
I like that.
It could. Yeah. I'll always love him, but you always have that thing as well where he went to Ipswich and did absolutely now, and then hasn't really had a job since, apart from being assistant manager at places.
You'd like to hope that he's maybe just matured a wee bit in that way. Do you know what I mean as well? But you're right. It is a risk. I've went on a few Celtic podcasts and I've spoken to a few of my mates, and they think he's entertaining, but wanting him as a manager at Celtic, they probably would say not really. But I think honestly, I think if he got the right assistant manager with him and maybe put a director of football in or something and help him out with the scouting and the transfer system, honestly, I think he's got so much to offer. Because he comes from the older school type of way of kind of.
Well, he likes working with Martin O'Neill, doesn't he? So would you not think they'd do a swap? Roy Keane going as manager, O'Neill coming as assistant?
One of the dinosaurs.
I would love that. I would love that. I would love that. Oh, man.
The club needs someone like that.
Don't mention that to me. Oh, I love that.
The first time you smiled for 15 minutes. That.
You're welcome.
The media would love Keane versus Gerrard.
Exactly.
Oh, so would I. Imagine Roy Keane coming out at Ibrox and getting all the abuse as you get there and stuff, and just Roy Keane just strutting about in the dugout, man. I want to see it. I want to see it.
Think you win the league next season? or do you think it's too much at the minute? Do you think there's too much needs changed, or
If he'll leave, sorry.
Do you think he can bounce? Do you think he can bounce back and win the league, or?
All right.
Do you think there's too much to do?
Nah, of course they can. Rangers aren't that. I mean, probably get slated for this, but Rangers aren't that good. Like they're an organised. I know it sounds like a Celtic fan saying that, but they're organised. They're really well coached, but they're not a team that, like, I look at and think, Jesus, man, we're never going to catch them. We're never going to beat them. Nah, I mean, we dominated them in the game in January at Ibrox. We battered them. We just couldn't score. That showed you that we've still got the players there to do it. We just need somebody to come in that it gets the players playing again and gets a few new signings in and just gets a bit of energy back in the team. That's all we need. And we're still in a good place financially. Still got a good structure behind the club and stuff. Rangers have got better. They were always going to get better, but I look at their team and I look at the individuals and I think they're playing at their peak just now. That won't happen again for Rangers. Yeah. The players that they've not got anybody. Like, even when you look at Alfredo Morelos, he's not that great. He's a unit. Right. He's physical. He's all. You know what I mean? He's at his best. He's going to be. He's not someone like Edouard at Celtic who can go on and play for one of the biggest teams in England.
I think he's shite.
Who's that? Alfredo.
I think he's absolute shit. Like, naturally as a footballer, he's garbage.
He's not scored against Celtic either, and I'm not saying that makes or breaks a player, but do you know what I mean? I'm certainly not afraid of him. Like, I'm not afraid of Ryan Kent. He's decent. There's players in the Rangers team that are playing pretty well, but they don't frighten us, man.
I think their biggest struggle is it might not happen next season, but inevitably when Gerrard leaves.
Yeah.
Because I didn't like Steven Gerrard as a player, but I think as a manager he's a breath of fresh air. I know you won't like saying it, but
he's done well. He's done well for them. He definitely has done well. The European form, especially, like even since he first came in a few years ago, has been brilliant. And I think they've got a really good assistant manager in as well. I don't think he gets enough. I can't remember his name, but he's rated really highly. And they've got Gary McAllister still there as well. So I think he's got like a good team in there, and that's something Celtic didn't have this season. And that told Celtic's coaches they didn't work together clearly. But Rangers have got. I agree with you. They deserve a bit of credit there.
Well, they're getting 1-0, getting beat 1-0 as we speak.
Are they?
Yeah, 0 down after 12 minutes.
Told you.
Right, lads, we'll have a quiz before we go on to Scott's 1 to 11. Right, so I've made 2 quizzes. I'm going to give Scott the choice. So last week, Jay did Derby's top 10 Premier League scorers.
Right.
This week, I've used the top 10 again, but I've gone for either Celtic's biggest sales or biggest buys.
All right.
Okay. You can choose which one you want to do.
So I can choose the sales or the buys?
Yeah. So biggest sales for Celtic or biggest buys for Celtic?
Let's go for the buys.
Biggest buys. Right. No worries. Right. Okay then. You got a pen and paper?
Yes.
Right. So all I want, lads, don't have to be in order. Don't have to be like first, second, third. Just the top. Who you think are the top 10 players that Celtic have bought in their history?
Like most expensive.
Yeah. Most expensive. Yeah.
And they don't need to be in order.
No. Just that'd be too hard. Yeah. Just top 10. Just while I'm doing that, I thought it was quite one of the biggest sales. Southampton have 4 of the top 10 biggest buys off Celtic.
Yeah.
Armstrong, Forster, Wanyama, and Van Dijk.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be hard. This.
Yeah, I'm struggling already.
I'm struggling as well.
While the lads do that, I will usually plug the social media. So if you want to follow us on Twitter, it is at Prawn Podcast, 2 capital P's, in collaboration with the FM Retro Gamer. And if you follow us on Instagram for photos of the likes of Football Manager and just daily content, it is prawn_sandwich, all lowercase. thank you to our sponsors, T7 Clothing, which is returning soon with his summer clothing. Just keep an eye out for that. And the Pottery Pub in Carlisle, which opens on May 17th.
This is so hard, eh?
Yeah, I'm proper struggling.
Mate, you made us do Derby County Premier League scorers, so you deserve this.
I'm so pleased I didn't get that one. Yeah.
Mate, I got 3.
My camera would just have went off at some point.
Oh shit, man! This is the.
I feel for you guys because even I'm starting to struggle a bit. So,
How many are we on, lads?
7.
6.
I don't think Celtic have spent a lot of money either. That's the thing. So,
Just the top of your clue, but no, they haven't.
Oh man, this is so tough.
Just to add the pressure to Scott, we've only had 2 guests win a quiz ever.
Jesus.
Yeah. It was Matt last week, Derby County. Who was the other one?
Steve.
Steven,
T7.
T7.
Oh, Steve, T7. Yes, of course.
I've got my 10.
You got 10.
Yeah. Some of them I've just got surnames. I can't remember the first name.
Oh, no, that's fine. That's fine.
Oh man,
How many are we on, Scott and Nerf?
I've got 7.
I've got my 10.
10. Oh, pressure, Scott.
His will actually be right though.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
Exactly.
Right, I'm going to put the pressure on. You've got 30 seconds.
That's all right. Okay. God, we've signed some terrible players. Like,
Tell you what, none of the sales are the buys, so I'll just go through the sales as a fun fact. Number 1, Kieran Tierney to Arsenal, 24.3 mil.
Yeah.
Moussa Dembele to Lyon, 19.8. Virgil van Dijk to Southampton, 14.3 million. Wanyama, 13.5. Fraser Forster, 11.25. Shout out to Sunderland legend Aidan McGeady to Moscow for 10.8 mil.
Yeah.
Frimpong, didn't know that the left. Was it the left back? By Leverkusen?
Yeah,
9
he just
mil.
just left.
Probably my favourite Celtic player, if I had to pick one, Petrov to Villa for 9 mil.
He was great.
This one took us by surprise. Mark Viduka to Leeds, 8.24 mil.
Yeah.
And
See, I never put any of those in my buys.
none of them were. None of them matched up. I was quite surprised at that. And Stuart Armstrong to Southampton, 7.16 mil.
I like him.
So have we all got 10?
Yeah.
I'll tally it down as you tell us them. So, Jamie, if you want to go first, we'll let Scott go last.
Yeah. Right. So Edward.
Okay.
John Hartson.
Okay.
Chris Sutton.
Okay.
Scott Sinclair.
Okay.
Henrik Larsson.
Okay.
Artur Boruc.
Yeah.
Lee Naylor.
Yeah.
Alan Stubbs was a total guess.
Yeah.
It's good effort.
The Israeli lads, Niham, is it?
Who's that?
Niham, is it his name?
For the guy that plays now.
Aye.
Oh, did play El Hamid.
No, not him. I've maybe just made up his name.
Whoever that's yeah.
And was it the Scandinavian lad, Asia or something? AJER. I made them up
Oh,
as well.
the one who's always
Oh, Aya.
unbelievable on Footy Manager.
Yeah. There we
Crystal
go.
Fire.
Yeah.
Agile.
Right. Do you want to know how many you've got? I'll wait till the end.
Tell us how many I've got.
Right, Jamie Jackson scores 3 out of 10.
Oh,
I thought that was a good effort, though, honestly.
Oh, God.
Dave, do you want to go with yours?
Go on then.
Yeah.
I'll go with Odson Edward,
Yeah,
Paul Lambert,
yeah,
Scott Sinclair,
yeah,
Paolo Di Canio,
yeah,
Chris Sutton,
yeah,
Arthur Boruch,
yeah,
Henrik Larsson,
yeah,
Julian,
yeah,
Nia Bitton,
yeah.
and Shinsuke Nakamura.
Right.
Good effort.
So if Scott scores 3, we're going to a tiebreaker because they've got 3 in all.
I've got right, Odson Edward,
Yeah,
Chris Sutton,
yeah,
John Hartson,
yeah,
Neil Lennon,
yeah,
Christopher Julien.
yeah,
I also put Eyal Berkovic, which is a long shot.
oh,
yeah,
shout.
I think we're thinking for a bit. Scott Sinclair.
yeah.
How many is that? 6? 7?
That's 7 you've given us.
Thomas Gravison I put in as well. I don't know if he was that much, so but I put him in, so that's 8. Also put in Barkas, who's a keeper we signed recently for 5 million. Like, don't know why, but he's in there. And I also put in Jan Venegor of Hesselink.
Oh,
no.
Oh, that's a blast from the past, that name.
wow.
Yeah.
So, Scott takes it. With,
Hey,
you actually got the top 6. 6 out of 10.
Class. I'm happy with that.
good effort, man.
So, Scott, I'll go through them, lads. Top is Edward from PSG, 9.27 mil.
Yeah.
Second is Chris Sutton from Chelsea, 8.55 mil. Third, Harton from Coventry, 8.1 mil. Number 4 was Eyal Berkovic from West Ham for 7.92.
I knew he was expensive, aye.
5th, Neil Lennon from Leicester,
He's about 6 million.
7.6.
That was a great show.
6th was Christophe Julien from Toulouse, 7.2 mil. And then none of you's got. Number 7, Jozo Siminovic from Zagreb.
All right. Jeez, oh.
Number 8, I think, who was manager in 99, 2000?
John Barnes.
Definitely played Footy Manager because he signed a Brazilian kid from Gremio called Rafael.
Raphael.
Oh, Raphael.
Jesus. Oh, man, how did I not get that?
6.48 mil.
Oh, man.
Number 9 took me by surprise. Scott Brown from Hibs for 5.9 million, and 10 was another one I've never heard of, was for the same season. Jose Valagrin, I want to say.
Useful Haran.
That's the one from Roda FC for 5.13 million.
Good question.
So
Hey,
fair
dude,
play,
hey.
Scott. 6 out of 3. Guess takes another quiz.
Cheers.
And last but not least, we will move on to your 1 to 11 of favourite Celtic players, your time supporting. So we like to say as guests, it's not who he thinks is the best, it's who his favourites are. So don't get arsey if you think there's players better.
I don't want any.
What formation you going with, mate?
Just about to say I don't want any like inboxes of anybody like just threatening me. Like, do you know what? I'm going to go with 4-4-2. Don't like that formation overly, but because I can play 2 up front, and I think with this selection I need 2 up front. So 4-4-2 is up if that's all right.
Yeah, absolutely fine, mate. So we're starting goals.
Arthur Boruc.
Nice.
I liked him. Any reason why, or you can go on a bit of detail about him?
He hated Rangers. And he showed
He
it.
the one that was in the fans.
Yeah, and
After
he
he'd
showed
left?
it. He had a flag of the the Pope as well, and he rolled it around Ibrox, and you could probably imagine what that's like at Ibrox. He was mental, but he loved the club as well. But he was brilliant. I don't remember he saved the penalty against Man United in the Champions League. Salah's penalty and that, like he was class. Like on his day, he was brilliant. But he was one of the players as well that came across and was pretty. I mean, I wouldn't say he stayed overly long, maybe 4 years or something before he started kind of regressing a bit. But he kind of just got it. Like he got what Celtic was.
Yeah.
So him definitely.
Right, fair enough. Right back,
Jackie McNamara. He was one of my favourite players in the 90s. Wee right back that signed from. I think we signed him from Dunfermline actually, or Hibs. Could have been Dunfermline. He was pretty cheap, but he stayed at the club for a long time. He played in the UEFA Cup final as well. He came off the bench, but he was quick. He had a good cross. He was tidy, and he ended up playing across the back three as well. When Martin O'Neill came in, he played a three, and McNamara could come in at right centre half or left centre half. He was pretty intelligent. One of those players that maybe never got the credit for like being as good in different positions.
Yeah. Oh, nice. So yeah, we'll go just across the back four. So you centre halves.
So the two centre halves in that four would Virgil van Dijk and Bobo Balde would be the two centre halves. Obviously, Van Dijk probably don't need to say anything about him. He's a machine, like powerful.
You can tell Nath if you want because he doesn't rate him.
Right, man.
Really? Jeez, you knew straight away. I mean, it's different when you're at Celtic and you play well. You kind of wait till they play in Europe or against Rangers or against teams that you think, right, he's been tested now properly, because we all know that like when we play against Ross County and St Mirren and St Johnstone and teams like that, it's maybe not the best opposition at times, like, but he switched off a lot. Like he didn't focus 100% all the time. We had another guy that played for Sunderland as well eventually, and he played beside him at the time, called Jason Denayer, and I thought he was better than Van Dijk at the time.
Agreed.
Just the way he defended, I thought he was like fucking rugged and just he was reliable. Van Dijk used to switch off a little bit, but you just knew that Van Dijk was a machine and an animal, and he would probably go on to good things. And I'm choosing him because of what he's became as well. Because look at him, man. He's probably the best defender in the world just now, like centre half, in my opinion.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree. I remember you saying at the time that Denayer was better, because that was when we were working together. And I think Van Dijk had just got his move to Southampton, because I was asking about him because Sunderland were linked with Van Dijk at the time.
Yeah, Denayer was pretty good. Like for Celtic, he looked really reliable. You could bet your money on him every week that he was an 8 out of 10. Like, you know what I mean? Van Dijk would be like a 10, and then like he'd be a 6. And you'd be like, what's going on with this guy? He just seems to switch off every now and then. But even you knew he was more talented. But I've got Bobo Balde in beside him as well, who's a completely different kettle of fish. He was just an absolute brute, an animal. But he had no technical ability whatsoever. But he would honestly tackle a horse. He'd win every header. Like he'd throw his body on the line. Like players hated him because he was just at their heels. He was one of those players that like you ended up loving, because he was just
A bit
absolute animal.
Bit cult hero style.
Yeah, everybody loved him because of that. But he played some great games in Europe and against Rangers as well. Like, and he signed for Martin O'Neill's team, and he played in the European final. So the guy must have done something right. But it was nothing to do with the fact he could pass a ball, because he couldn't. It was more to do with the fact he was great in the tackle. He had pace. He was athletic. He won everything in the air, and he was a horrible man in general. Like, yeah.
Spot on. So left back,
Kieran Tierney. It's got to be Kieran Tierney. He's brilliant. He's got a lot of energy in the left. He wins the tackles. He's strong. He defends his box well. Gets forward. He puts a good ball in. He's just like a really good, accomplished left back. Still pissed off he left, to be honest. But like,
I think he's quality. Like,
yeah,
absolutely
he's
quality.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Him or Robertson at the Euros at left back.
Oh,
I know you have
if it's left back.
Yeah, it's left back.
if it's left back, it's got to be Kieran Tierney because he's a better defender and he's stronger and he's better in his own box. If it's somebody that you want flying forward and maybe with a bit more energy, it's Andy Robertson. But Scotland don't fly forward. They kind of sit in and they kind of take a bit of pressure against a lot of teams. So you've got to play Kieran Tierney. I'd play Robertson higher up, which I think they started doing a little bit at the end up. But Tierney at left back definitely.
Yeah, spot on. We'll cross to right wing, front of McNamara.
Shinzuki Nakamura.
Yeah,
I think one of you guys mentioned him in the previous thing there. Like Nakamura, just for his. Sorry?
Unbelievable player.
Yeah, he was brilliant. Great feet, technical ability, like put a great cross in, brilliant set piece taker as well. Like just he didn't give the ball away. He's one of those players that didn't give the ball away. I like players like that. I think you don't speak about them enough, but he never gave the ball away. In fact, I've got 4 right across that midfield that don't give the ball away. So Nakamura is on the right, definitely.
He's got that highlight free kick and all, hasn't he? That everyone knows.
Yeah, man, yeah, definitely.
A golden era for Japanese midfielders when Nakamura played.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the video where he puts a free kick in? He's in the street and the bus is going by, and the service bus is going by and they're waiting, and then the bus comes by and he kicks the ball towards the bus and lands it in the top of the bus. He lands it in the bus window actually. Have a look at it on YouTube. It's brilliant.
Is he one of them that he played for to a ridiculous age?
Still playing, yeah.
He's still playing 42 now for Yokohama FC.
On the DVDs with Celtic, all the players always say after the games, like they go home and they go and have a pint or something. And Nakamura was always going up to the gym, getting on the treadmill or something. They'll be just different type of human being.
Quality.
Yeah. So centre midfield.
Paul McStay and Paul Lambert. So obviously I spoke to you about McStay at the start, so I probably don't need to rattle on about him again, but he was obviously definitely in there.
He'll be a captain.
McStay is definitely the captain every day of the week, without a shadow of a doubt. Sorry?
Yeah, spot on there, Lambert.
Yeah, Paul Lambert. In my kind of lifetime, I don't remember Celtic signing a player that's just won the Champions League, because obviously you're in Scotland and you don't get that opportunity. But Paul Lambert, we signed him after he won the Champions League for Dortmund, and he was class. Like, he just another one that read the game well. I think him and McStay, the two in the centre midfield. Like, I mean, imagine Paul McStay, the playmaker, reading the game, and then Paul Lambert obviously just reading the game where he is as well. And he was brilliant on the ball. Didn't take any chances on the ball. And he just kind of played the percentage pass. If he was in trouble, he would get out of trouble just by playing the percentage pass and being good with his movement. And I think there's not a lot of Scottish players that I remember that ever did that as well as him.
I actually, I saw after the Sunderland game versus Portsmouth was on the other day, right after it on Sky, it had a classic Old Firm game. And Paul Lambert scores an absolute rocket from about 30.
Yeah. It's the New Year game.
Yeah, it was unbelievable goal.
Yeah, it was 1998, the New Year game, the 2-0 game. With half volley outside the box, just on the half volley, and it swerves into the back, the top right corner.
Yeah,
man, don't get me going. I love that. I love that goal. Yeah. And on the left side is. Hopefully you've heard of him, but maybe you haven't. But Lubomir Moravcik, like this guy's the best technical player I've ever seen at Celtic in my lifetime. And you can talk about Henrik Larsson and stuff like that, but Moravcik, guy could have played anywhere, anytime. I don't know how he slipped through the net. Like one of those players in the old days that slipped through the net and should have been playing at the best team in the best league and everything, but we've managed to get him, and he was unbelievable. Like 2-footed, brilliant crosser, great with the ball at his feet. He would smash a goal in for 30 yards just like it was the most natural thing to do in the world. He struck the ball really well as well. Do you know players like actually kick the ball really well, and you can just tell that they strike the ball properly. Like you remember David Beckham, players like that in time. Like Moravcik was one of them. He just knew where to strike the ball. He was unbelievable. Like.
Was he Slovakian? Slovenian.
Yeah, he was Slovakian. The guy that we had manager at the time was Josef Venglos. He just recently passed away. He knew of Moravcik. If we didn't get Venglos in as manager, we wouldn't have got Moravcik. But he was absolutely. I mean, he was probably the best technical player I've ever seen in my life at Celtic. He was unbelievable.
Great shout.
I like that.
Front two.
Oh, Henrik Larsson and Chris Sutton. Has to be Henrik, and that's why I played the 4-4-2, because I needed them two up front and to get the other players in as well. But Henrik. It's hard to speak about Henrik, man, because I love him so much and I don't want to be here till midnight talking about him. But honestly, man, I speak about him with my mates and stuff now, and see the type of player that, when your teams are getting beat and you're thinking the job's fucked, we've just not got a score. Like the game's over. Like Henrik would come up with something, and it would be in. He'd put it in with his arse, his knee. He'd just he'd maneuver his body. He'd find space like that. I don't understand how he did it, but thank you, whatever it is. I mean, because honestly, he was just unbelievable. He just found a way. He found a way, and some of the goals he scored were brilliant. Some of the goals he scored were just wee kind of scrappy goals. But even the scrappy ones, you were just thinking, you're unbelievable. How did you manage to get your foot wrapped around that? Or how did you manage to, I still look at his goals now and I'm like, man, that guy's he wasn't real. I mean, he scored a ridiculous amount of goals. He was loyal. Man United wanted him. Teams came in for him. He said, no, I'm staying at Celtic. My family have settled. He was just, I feel bad choosing Paul McStay over him, but I still think he's just. I can't even put it into words how much I love Henrik Larsson. That's all I'm going to say before. I don't want to keep going on about it. But Chris Sutton as well.
Henrik Larsson's loyalty is something to be overlooked. He could have moved anywhere in that time. The 7 or 8 years that he did. Fair play.
I mean, the game against Arsenal, where Barcelona played them in the Champions League as well, you think about how he came on and impacted that game, and he changed the game and won the Champions League with Barcelona that year and stuff. He's absolutely unbelievable. I'm going to stop talking about him. But Chris Sutton as well. Chris. I mean, he was a perfect partner for Henrik Larsson. Henrik Larsson still says now that Chris Sutton's the best player that he played with in the up front, in the 4-4-2 formation. He says Chris Sutton's the best guy I played with up front because he was a target man. Do you know the thing about Chris Sutton? He was probably the best player. Best forward I've seen at Celtic that can play as well with his back to goal. Has his back to goal when the ball stuck to him all the time. He'd win it on the chest, he'd win it on the knee, trap it with his foot. He just had that body strength where he could hold a player off. And Jesus, he was powerful in the air as well. He was just brilliant in the air. And he was perfect for Henrik. Martin O'Neill deserved so much credit for getting Sutton in because he was absolutely perfect for Henrik Larsson, just with the little knockdowns and the opposite to what Henrik was. Do you know?
He'd done well because when he moved to Celtic, he just had that horrific season at Chelsea where he'd scored 1 goal in 30 odd games. He totally resurrected his career by moving to Celtic. Nathan's a massive fan of Chris Sutton. He loved him.
I absolutely love Chris Sutton. That is the best. That is a dream strike partnership for me right there.
It was brilliant. He probably would have got more praise if Henrik wasn't there. But because obviously Henrik took the limelight, didn't he? But Henrik wouldn't have got as many goals and wouldn't have been as effective. He would still have been effective, but he wouldn't have been as effective without Chris Sutton.
Definitely agree.
Fair enough. And then last but not least, who's your gaffer, mate?
Oh, jeez, I didn't think about that one. Martin O'Neill. Martin O'Neill has to be Martin O'Neill. Has to be, just because he came in and he just transformed the whole feeling around the club. I loved him as well, just the way he spoke in the media. He had a bit of he was charismatic, wasn't he? You could listen to him and I could listen to him and hours would go by and I wouldn't mind. He was just that type of guy that.
When he came in when he came in to manage Sunderland, he didn't have John Robertson with him, and
Yeah.
it was evident, it was totally evident, like after about 6 months, when the initial buzzard wore off, that not John Robertson there as his number 2. He just wasn't the same. Just wasn't the same he was at Celtic and Aston Villa.
Yeah, he's had Steve Walford and John Robertson in most jobs, and as you said there, he didn't have them at Sunderland, and he didn't have them at like Nottingham Forest and stuff as well when he went there recently. So and it's never went as well for him. I don't think he's a guy that coaches a lot either. I think he's kind of the impact man management type of manager.
Come on, Sunderland, that he wasn't there much.
Yeah, agree with.
But no, fair enough. It's 4-4-2, good team, mate. That's it.
Yeah.
Right.
Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
Thanks very much for having me on. It's good to meet you, and thanks a lot for listening to my nonsense about Celtic.
Choosing Henrik Larsson.
I know worries, mate. Hopefully soon you get a manager in, and then see what happens next year in the SPL. See if they can kick back on.
Yeah,
Super.
Well, back on any time as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant. Yeah, I've enjoyed it. Thank you.
So we'll let you go away, and thank you for listening.
Brilliant. Take care. All the best.
See you later, mate.
See you. Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
That was
Sound?
Scott Hardie then.
Yeah.
Sound that. Another good one.
Thoroughly
Another
enjoyed
good
that.
one.
Technical issues right at the start. Sorry about that, boys.
Technical issues are still going. Like
His
YouTube
camera's
viewers,
frozen.
I'm not sitting there happy as out of my timer and my camera's gone. So
At least it's recorded. Though we can still have the audio.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
that was Scott Hardie for the listeners. Hope you enjoyed it. It's different to talk about a different league and a different team.
Yeah.
Again, like we say, anyone who wants to come on, just get in touch with us on Instagram, Twitter. Open to all teams. Doesn't matter who it is.
We've had a good little run of guests now.
Absolutely.
Every other week for the past few weeks we've had a guest on. And yeah, we're just open to hearing about any club. So if you it doesn't even have to be a massive club, just any club. Get yourself on and we'll have a chat.
Absolutely. Right. Cheers, boys.
Right. Till next time.
Till next time.
Arrivederci.
Boy.
See ya.
How's the bacon, did you say?
Batistuta. Oh, what a fantastic hit!
Roy Keane on Haaland.
Here's Sancho.